owned and operated for over 50 years and is committed to the highest level of service and safety. Whether it's a remodel or new construction, our qualified installers can help. Service changes, LED lights, security or ambiance lighting, electric car chargers, or backup generators, we do it all. Leave it to the experts at Wade Electric. Call 405-329-1940 to speak with one of our trusted professionals today.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510. Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings Studios, it's time to get locked in to the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000. Text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
The Chick-fil-A countdown clock, 12th and Alameda right here in Norman, tells me we are 3 days, 20 minutes, and 15 seconds away until kickoff at Jordan-Hare Stadium on the Plains between OU and Auburn. I mean, I've seen 2:30. I've seen 2:40 for this kickoff. Somewhere in between 2:30 and 2:45 Central. I don't know.
Well,
I'll trust you, Chick-fil-A countdown.
Consider the fact that there is a potential Category 5 hurricane impacting this game, so it could get pushed back even further.
Well, I'm looking at the and you can try and predict a hurricane, I guess, right? It looks like it's going to get a little bit more eastward. As of right now, here's one weather forecast. It seems like all the apps have different forecasts. Sunshine and clouds mixed, slight chance of a rain shower, high near 80, and about a 15% chance of rain. So that's promising, right? Just a 15% chance of rain. We'll see what the forecast looks like tomorrow when the hurricane's a little bit closer to the coast. But I don't mind just a 15% chance of rain when you have a true freshman quarterback making his first start in your first road game of the year. That's your first SEC road game ever. Like we've had these conversations before. Hey, if it's a rain shower, who does that favor? Our boys or their boys? I mean, I don't want Michael Hawkins going into a game that's a terrible weather situation, because you want a lot of things coming out of this game, Parker, but you want two things mostly. A win, whatever it looks like, but two, you also want your true freshman quarterback to be leaving that game with some confidence, and your offense maybe having a little bit of momentum heading into the bye week.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. And hopefully it doesn't rain, because I'd like to see Michael Hawkins be able to cut loose a little bit with some downfield throws. And obviously that's a harder thing, not impossible to do by any means, but harder to do if it's raining. Also, I'm thinking back, I don't know if I've ever covered a game in legit rain. There was a kind of a mist in West Virginia in 2022, which was constant and freezing and annoying, and that sucked. And then I guess it rained sporadically and very lightly in the Kansas game last year. But I have
a full-on downpour?
I have a rain poncho that's been in my backpack for almost 3 years. Caleb Williams' mom gave it to me before the Kansas State game in 2021 because it was supposed to rain that day. And I've never had occasion to use it.
I have covered one torrential downpour of a game. And it was actually an historic day. Samaje Perine rushed for 427 yards and broke the single-game rushing record. I also had a poncho that was available, but I was in my early 20s at the time and just down there on the sideline. Maybe I don't need a poncho, man. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. I was down there for like one or two series, and I basically froze to death up in the press box. But a torrential downpour game, yeah, I was there for that OU Kansas game back in 2014. But that's what you're looking for, man. You're looking for a win first and foremost. But, man, it would be nice for this offense to have its best performance of the year going into the bye week. And really the last thing you want is kind of the flip side of that. The last thing you want is another loss. You're 0-2 in SEC play. And along with that, you don't want to have to make another change at quarterback during this game. You at least want to feel like heading into the bye week and going into the Texas game 2 weeks to prepare that you know who your quarterback is going to be heading into the Cotton Bowl.
So
you got to have that answer.
You're saying no Brendan Zurbrugg season
no,
this week?
Not yet. Unless he possesses the speed in real life like he does in the video game.
He's got 90 speed in the game.
Run that the entire game. Just do that, man. I'm hoping, man, that maybe there's a bit of change of philosophy in the run game. Sounds like that could very well be the case. I just want to see this offense hit on just a big play, some big plays. You know what I mean? Because the absence of the big play is one of the more shocking things that I've seen so far this year with this team. They just can't do it, man. They can't do it.
No,
it's not like they're close to doing it either. It's just like you don't think that there's any possibility unless Michael Hawkins gets in there late and finds Petaway for a big play. That's kind of about it, though.
There have really been no opportunities for big plays in the run game, and the opportunities that they have had to hit on deep shots downfield, Jackson Arnold has missed every single one of them without exception. Tyler, so yeah, I think the big play potential is there. It just needs to be channeled and. Michael Hawkins, to me, is a guy that's capable of doing that. Vinny Paul on the text line asks, so why is the consensus that Hawkins is better than Arnold? Is he just better, or did he do a better job of running the same offense? And look, when Hawkins showed up, everybody knew he had one thing that nobody else in the quarterback room had, right? Which is a truly dynamic running ability. He's not just mobile, he fast, Tyler. We're talking legit 4.4 type wheels.
Yeah.
He can really fly. But I think it comes down to decision making. And based on the body of work throughout spring, throughout fall camp, and certainly from what we have seen thus far in the 2024 season, what Michael Hawkins has demonstrated is something that you never really expect of a true freshman in relation to an experienced guy who's been in the system for a year and a half. And that is that the younger guy is significantly better about making the right decisions with the football. That was the advantage that everybody figured Jackson Arnold would have is, okay, yeah, he's not as fast as Hawkins. He's not quite that much of a dual threat, but he's obviously got a rocket arm, and he's going to know what he's doing. He's going to have a full grasp on the playbook. He's going to be able to make the right calls in real time to be able to keep this offense humming. And it just hasn't happened. Yeah. And Michael Hawkins has given you every indication on the practice field, which people haven't seen, but certainly last Saturday, which people did see, that he is far better at the decision-making process than Jackson Arnold is.
And more confident as well,
yeah.
It looks like, too. But, yeah, when you and I agree with that. But when you say that Michael Hawkins is making better decisions than Jackson Arnold, I think that we can all acknowledge that Jackson Arnold has not made great decisions this year, and he certainly didn't on Saturday. But you know what I think most people think of when they think of a quarterback making bad decisions is bad turnovers. And clearly that was the case for Jackson Arnold, and that's why he got pulled in the first half of that football game. But unfortunately for him, I think it's a little bit deeper than that. I don't think it was just bad decisions in terms of turning the ball over. I think it was bad decisions in the RPO game in terms of knowing when to throw it, knowing when to hand it off, like just that whole system. I don't think he made good decisions even when he didn't turn the ball over. So you can't play the guy right now. And maybe he just kind of takes a step back the next week or two and somehow regains the confidence a little bit. But there's no doubt who quarterback one is heading into this week. And I don't think Michael Hawkins is going to operate on a short leash. I don't think if he makes an early mistake that,
no.
All right, Thompson, get warmed up. Let's go. Like, I think that they're going to let Hawkins maybe make some mistakes, but I think they realize the importance of getting through an entire game with the same quarterback and, going into the Texas game with, well, here's our offense now.
And there is no circumstance anytime soon in which you can put Jackson Arnold back on the field because what he needs is time. He needs time and space, and you cannot rush him back out there for any reason. He just needs to get right, and you can't really put a clock on that. You can't count on that happening by this date or this time or this deadline. And Casey Thompson ought to be a legitimate last resort, Tyler. Like, if this season's going down the drain and Hawkins is turning the ball over left and right and he has been no better than Arnold, then, okay, it's time to break the emergency glass and throw Casey Thompson out there. But there's no reason, based on what we've seen from Hawkins and what most folks haven't yet seen from Hawkins. I'm referring, of course, to what has happened on the practice field the last few months. There's no reason to think that he won't bolster this offense and help them operate more efficiently and more effectively.
Sean says, is this the biggest game of the Brent Venables era? That is a fascinating question. And kind of on that, I was thinking before the show today, if OU wins this game, and not that it's some great win that people nationally are going to say, wow, how did Oklahoma go into Jordan-Hare and win that game? I mean, Cal and Arkansas just did that. Like, would this rank in the top 5 of best wins in the Venables era thus far? Like, winning your first SEC road game?
Yes.
Would it rank in the top 3? Would it rank as number 2? For best wins in the Brent Venables era? I mean, what is the like, the Texas win is clearly the best, but I guess my question is, like, what is the next best after that? But is this the biggest game of the Brent Venables era? It is a massive game. Not that it gets you back in the conversation with a lot of people of the college football playoff, but this gets you out of the conversation, at least for a couple of weeks, of, oh my gosh, they're heading towards a disastrous year. So, and I understand Sean's question there. It feels like a big game because if you lose it, then all of a sudden does it spiral out of control and is Brent Venables on the hot seat going into next season? I mean, there's a lot of scary possibilities on the table if you lose this Saturday at Auburn.
There are a lot of scary possibilities, a lot of them. So you need to win this weekend. You need to have some belief, some juice in that locker room going into Texas. And, okay, that locker room is going to believe that they can go out there and beat Texas. And if they don't, they would never tell you otherwise. But the fan base needs to believe. The folks who live and die with the outcome of Oklahoma football games, and there are so many, hundreds of thousands of them across this state and across the globe, need to know, okay, this is not a team that's just going to get shellacked by Texas.
918, just imagine the Texas fans if we are starting their former quarterback against them. Please, MH Jr., stunt on Auburn this weekend. Yeah, if you're starting your third-string quarterback heading into the year this year and Davis Bevel year 1, I mean, that's not the quarterback situation in the Brent Venables era that you'd be hoping for. I'm going to guess that Hawkins plays well, though, this weekend, and he's the starter heading into the Texas game.
Greg and Muskogee asked a question that has been asked several times this week. How is it that all of the recruiting services missed on Jackson Arnold? They had him as a 5-star, highly rated, and had Hawkins as a 4-star, barely sniffing inside the top 200. 2 things here, Greg. One, this isn't the end of the line for Jackson Arnold. And as Brent Venables said in his press conference yesterday, that's a bad performance, that's a bad night, that isn't a bad career. And so
yeah,
I think
still a second-year player, man.
Yeah.
Early in the second season.
I think labeling Jackson Arnold a bust is premature because I do think he's going to have success. He just has to get right in the head again, and the success, we must concede, may not happen at Oklahoma at this point. It may happen somewhere else. In fact, the likelihood is that it happens somewhere else. But with regard to how the recruiting services, quote-unquote, missed on him, if indeed he doesn't get any better, well, you have to look at what you can see, what you can judge, what you can't predict. And much the same way you can't predict that an all-star second baseman is going to wake up one day and completely lose the ability to throw to first base with any degree of precision.
Yeah, Chuck.
You can't really predict that a quarterback with objective, legitimate 5-star talent is going to come unwound up top between the ears.
D and Choctaw and I are kind of on the same page there because right when we're saying that, I'm like, wasn't Bo Nix a 5-star by at least one service? Oh yeah, he was a 5-star by rivals. There are a lot of people that thought that he stunk at Auburn before he went out to Oregon. Now that doesn't mean that Jackson Arnold's going to transfer somewhere and put up ridiculous numbers and be a first-round pick like Bo Nix was, but to the point, there have been 5-star quarterbacks and even 5-star quarterbacks recently that, at least early in their career, had some real struggles, and then by the end of their college career, looked like they were pretty dadgum good quarterbacks. And Bo Nix is at least a recent example of that. So still very early on in his career. Maybe it doesn't happen in Oklahoma. Michael Hawkins takes this job, then it won't be at Oklahoma. But he'll still have opportunities to be a really good quarterback. And here's the thing with Arnold. Like, the arm strength has not changed. The athleticism has not changed. The confidence has got to change. The decision-making has got to change. There's clearly some things that have to change with him as a quarterback, but he's still got some tools to be a really good player in the future. He's got to figure it out in between the years, man. That's where it's got to be.
Kyle in Broken Bow says, Parker, if that's true, then how come Arnold won the starting job? Another question that has been asked a lot this week. And the reality is, I mean, and you can say that the coaches suck for this. You can blame whoever you want to blame for this. But the reality is there was just never really a quarterback competition because there was a lot of confidence in Jackson Arnold to be the next guy at Oklahoma.
They took him to SEC Media Day along with Stutzman and Bowman, right?
Well, and with what he did last year as a true freshman, both on the practice field and in a game environment, there was no reason to think, okay, this guy is not ready or there's any controversy to be had as to whether he's going to be our starting quarterback. You don't expect what happened. You can't expect what happened. And when you have made that decision as early as you have, and I remember Brent Venables and Jeff Lebby both making comments, and several of them throughout the 2023 season suggesting that Jackson Arnold was kind of already the nominal starter for the 2024 season, because at the time everybody expected Dylan Gabriel was going to be off to the NFL. You know, the decision was made pretty early that Jackson Arnold was our guy for 2024 internally, and Tyler, none of us ever questioned that because none of us had any reason to question it. And yes, Michael Hawkins was excellent in spring ball. He was excellent in fall camp. But Jackson Arnold didn't suck either. No, Jackson Arnold was not perfect. And yes, according to some, there was an argument to be made that Hawkins outperformed Arnold. But he was not the guy on the practice field that he was Saturday night against Tennessee. That was a new low.
That was the worst version of him.
Yeah, that was rock bottom.
Cherokee Sooner says, can't play well in good weather. Might as well give it a shot in a hurricane. Maybe so, Cherokee Sooner. Play that dadgum game in a hurricane, and maybe OU throws up 42 points or something and hits on some big plays. But sounds like that's going to be not going to be in Auburn, Alabama on Saturday. Potentially looking at some dry weather. All right, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We do have some crootin to get to. We'll look more at this football game on Saturday, some other games across the country. You know what we do here. A lot of college football coming up next right here on The Ref.
Hey, Sooner fans, this is Jaron Kanik, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Hey Sooners, I'm OU alum and Boyd Street Ventures founder James Spann. The Sooners season is underway, which means it's time for the Boyd Street Ventures Under the Radar Player of the Game. It's time for you to consider investing in BSV. Our portfolio has 16 innovative, under-the-radar, Oklahoma-connected companies. If you want in, the sooner the better, as our fund closes December 31st. Check out our portfolio at BoydStreetVentures.com. Boyd Street Ventures, under the radar, above the crowd.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids are facing hunger every day? Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Thank you!
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
Get ready for back to school with a truck that's built to handle the road ahead. The 2024 Ram 1500 Crew 4x4 Bighorn at Fowler Dodge is your perfect partner for Oklahoma's tough terrain. Right now, save a massive $18,000 off MSRP. Drive it home for just $45,485. Whether you're hauling gear or just heading to school, the Ram 1500 has you covered. Start your journey at Fowler Dodge. Must buy from dealer stock by 9/3/2024. Rebates included. Cannot be combined with other offers.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't even really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel on yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you.
Contact South Central CASA at 405-360-5295. Are you looking for weekend plans? Sooner Bowling Center has something for you and the entire family. Each Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., you can join them for the pizza, pins, and pop special. You get 60 minutes of one lane of bowling for 6 people, shoe rentals, a pitcher of soda, and a one-topping pizza. You can reserve online at SoonerBowl.com. Don't forget about their spare time grill and social butterfly catering for all of your catering needs. Visit them today, SoonerBowl.com.
Where are you going to golf this fall? Toby Rowland here for the Trails Golf Club in Norman. When you join the Trails, it gives you the opportunity for you and your family to spend quality time together. From the great golf, pool in the summer, and great holiday events, plus one of the best restaurants in Norman. Join now and play golf on an 18-hole championship golf course. That's perfect for the entire family. Contact Zane Alexander today at 405-364-3790 or visit trailsgolf.com.
Is your pool ready for a refresh? At Signature Custom Pools, we turn your visions into reality. Whether it's a sleek, modern redesign or a luxurious new addition for next season, our expert team creates pools tailored to your lifestyle. Dive into elegance and enhance your home's beauty. Call them for a free consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com so you can make your dream pool a reality with a splash next season.
Locked in with McComas and Thune, live on the ref for the home of Sooner fans. Tyler McComas, Parker Thune, and a special guest in studio this segment, my pal John Whitson of Brown O'Haver, and the Boomer Bevo podcast as well. Go check out the Boomer Bevo podcast. And, of course, Brown O'Haver, if you're in need right now with the hail damage last night. Let's just start there. What should homeowners do? Like, there was a lot of nasty hail. Like, you and I have lived in Oklahoma for a while. I don't know if I've seen clouds like that before. That looked nasty. There's a lot of hail out there. So what should the process be for some homeowners out there?
Well, first over, sorry about that. First of all, let's just a little commentary on those clouds. Was it like Independence Day, the original one? It looked like the space shuttle. The space shuttle was breaking through the clouds. You know what I mean? So that was pretty cool. But no, if you got hit with some of that hail, especially the big stuff, I kind of want to walk people through what they should do. The first thing they have to do is any damage that occurred, whether they got broken windows in their homes or leaking roofs or broken windows in their cars, they have to tarp that up or board the windows up. Okay, so we have to make sure that no more damage occurs. That's your duty under your insurance policy. If your damage isn't beyond that, then you want to get with a local roofing contractor. The ref has a number of roofing contractors that they can recommend that work with these guys. Brown O'Haver, you can give us a call, 405-735-5510. We can recommend some roofing contractors, but you want to make sure they're local and that you trust them and know them and have had a referral from them. Let them get on your roof and do some inspections before you file a claim. The last thing you want to do, with as much as insurance premiums have gone up, is file a claim without ensuring that you have enough damage to get paid on it. Every claim filed is equivalent to a hit on your credit, and so it makes your premiums go up.
Sure.
So you don't want any unnecessary claims. After that, if you were in the main track of the storms, I'm just going to be quite honest, you should get a new roof. Like, that stuff was bad last night. And so that's where Brown O'Haver comes in, is if it's just a roof and you're not out of your home, you can absolutely call Brown O'Haver for some advice. But long story short, you should get a roof. I'm just telling you, you should get a roof. Should be a no-brainer. That hail was intense. If and when they do not pay you on your roof, that's the trigger point to call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510, because if you had that damage and you don't get paid, you need to get paid. So just have our number saved away, be listening for our commercials. But I'm just telling you right now, find a local roofer, make sure they agree that there's damage, then file your claim. You should get paid. If you don't, that's when you call Brown O'Haver. And then a shout out to commercial building owners. The process, as many of you know, is a lot more difficult than it is for a home or a residence. If you've had a commercial building with a flat roof especially get hit, and you don't know if it's the difference between cosmetic damage and real damage, please give Brown O'Haver a call, 405-735-5510. We've done a lot of work with commercial buildings over the last 3 or 4 years, especially that big hailstorm that hit Norman.
Yeah, for sure.
About 3 years ago. It's weird to say we had success with that because insurance companies should just pay it, but unfortunately they don't. We had success in getting those paid, getting our clients taken care of. We can provide referrals. So if you're an owner of a commercial building that got hit with a lot of this, give Brown O'Haver a call, 405-735-5510.
Greg in Muskogee says, do they service Eastern Oklahoma?
100%, Greg.
Yeah, Greg, come on. Of course they service Eastern Oklahoma, Brown O'Haver.
Absolutely. We're statewide. We're licensed in 22 other states, so we can service the whole nation, really, either via us or affiliates.
You know, you walked in here, and I was like, yep, John O'Haver, John Whitson of Brown O'Haver, Boomer Bevo podcast. And I'm like, you know what? Like, there's some days I walk in here the Monday after the Houston game and say, this is not going to be fun to talk about today. But at least I get to be around majority OU fans talking about the crap performance that was. You, on the Boomer Bevo podcast, have to talk about a crap performance and stare in the face of a smirking Texas fan on the other side of the podcast. So how's it been so far this season?
Oh, Kevin is off the charts cocky and arrogant right now, and he's got a starting quarterback hurt that's only backed up by a guy on his very first play, throws a touchdown, and a drive later makes a 67-yard run. And then in this game, they just blow out whatever it was, Louisiana Monroe or whatever. And then you look at their outside of Georgia and us, their schedule's weak.
They don't lead the state of Texas, but 2 times for the rest of the year.
They have a Big 12 schedule outside of us and Georgia. And so it's just insane what's going on down there. I can't stand it. I can't stand it being opposite of him, but I do it for the fans, Tyler. You know, sometimes you just got to do crappy stuff for the fans.
Yeah.
I do it for the fans. I'll tell you what, though. Oklahoma fan has been tuned into the Boomer Bevo podcast. It's been the last 3 weeks. I don't know, maybe Misery Loves Company is the only thing I can think of, but we've had our most views, our most interactions in the 3 years that we've done the podcast. So I want to say, first of all, I appreciate everybody listening. Mm-hmm. And if you're out there, we're putting a new episode out tonight. It'll be up in the morning. You can get it on the KREF app, the KREF Podomatic page, or anywhere you get your podcast, including YouTube.
Boomer Bevo podcast. It's good stuff. All right, John, I'm going to ask you a question, and then the same question goes to Parker. OU plays Auburn this weekend. What's the first thing, the first player, the first coach you think of when you think of Auburn? First thing that comes to mind.
Blindside.
Really? The blind side.
The blind side. Because of Hugh Freeze,
Because of Hugh Freeze. Because we were given this movie.
Still wearing that visor like he was in the movie,
We were given the Disney version of what occurred. And at the end of the movie, you felt so horrible for this player and everything he had to go through. And now you look back at it, whatever it was, 10, 15 years later, and go, that was absolutely the shadiest bunch of crap that probably ever occurred. You know that it didn't even scratch the surface on how shady that stuff was. And so now I don't feel bad for any of them. I'm mad that they ruined the movie for me. And I'm going with The Blind Side.
You know, Coach
that and prostitutes.
Coach O, that's right. We have to mention the prostitutes. Coach O was in that movie. Lou Holtz was in that movie, and
Saban was an LSU coach.
Saban was in that. Phil Fulmer was in that movie, and Hugh Freeze was by and far and away the worst coach in there.
He was terrible.
Yeah. Still had the visor on and everything, right? Got yelled at in the middle of practice. Can't coach an offensive lineman. What's the first thing you think of when you think of Auburn, other than prostitutes, Parker?
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Cam Newton in the kick six.
Mine is like the Jason Campbell, Ronnie Brown, and Cadillac Williams era.
They go undefeated one of those years?
2004. Man, I wish we could have played Auburn in 2004 rather than USC. They went on to beat Virginia Tech in the Sugar Bowl that year and went undefeated.
That was a really good
team. How
team.
crazy is that? That was 20 years ago. An undefeated SEC team got left out of the national championship game.
Who was their coach? Remind me their coach.
Tommy Tuberville.
So Tommy Tuberville earlier this year in the summer was on a political talk show. And somebody was just making a nice conversation near the end of the interview, and they said, hey, you're an old college football coach. What college game should I try to go watch this year? He said, are you kidding me? There's only one game on our schedule that's worth making the trip down for, and it's Oklahoma. And I was like so kind of blown away by that. And he's like, I mean, you're talking Oklahoma. When do you get to host Oklahoma? This is like historic to have Oklahoma. He just kept saying Oklahoma over. So that was pretty cool. I think Auburn fan, you talk about our quarterback troubles.
Ooh, boy.
They are every bit in the boat, along with 2 losses to Arkansas and whoever the heck else they lost to. So they're struggling, but I still think they're going to be pretty fired up for Oklahoma to come to Auburn, don't you think?
Well, the ticket prices are down around the $20 range, but yes, I do think that it's still their biggest home game. This is a very it's a huge game for OU. This is a huge game for Auburn. If they're going to have any sort of a successful season, for Hugh Freeze to not be on the hot seat probably next year, they've got to win this game. So there's a lot on the line, I think, for both teams, Auburn included. Text line saying Bo Jackson's the only correct answer. And if I were to live through that era, that would be my answer. But my era was more of that, kind of early 2000s when Auburn had that really good team in 04.
Yeah, I didn't become a Bo Jackson guy until he hit the pros. Once he hit the Raiders and the White Sox, that's kind of when Bo Jackson hit the radar.
Well, what do you think about the quarterback change?
I think we had to do it, man. Following the Houston game, there were 2 camps, right? There was the camp that said, we have to make a change, and then there was the camp that said, we got to give JFA the chance, right? And my argument at the time was, it doesn't matter, right? We don't know, has Jackson been given the full complement? Does he have an offensive line? Does he have receivers? Does it matter? On the other side of the coin, if we put Hawkins in, could it get worse? It was really hard to say. Coming out of the first half of Tennessee, there is zero question. Those turnovers were the worst. The 2 in particular were the worst turnovers of any turnovers in the history of turnovers on any football field in any game.
It looked like everyone's trying to play the college football game after 10 years, like, I still got it, got it, and they're throwing like picks everywhere. That's kind of what it looked like.
I mean, just when they occurred, where they occurred on the field, what they occurred, occurring right after turnovers that our defense created. It was just horrible. So the change had to be made, and I got to tell you, much like a lot of OU fans, it was exciting what we saw from Hawkins. The effort, he was the first set of downfield passes we've seen all year that passed the first down line and were put on target. I don't know, man. I was excited about it. It sounds weird to say. I mean, all the talk about Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold and all this stuff. With this offensive line and these receivers, we're probably 3-1 anyway, right? Tennessee is a good football team. But to take a look back after kind of having some space, okay, we lost 10 to the number 6 team in the country. Mm-hmm. And our defense looked amazing. So let's regroup against Auburn. Then we have Texas in 2 weeks. We know what can happen against Texas because they can clinch up better than any team in the world.
And they may be ranked number 1.
And they may be ranked
worse number 2.
They probably will be ranked number 1, I guess, unless Georgia or Alabama just really sends a message this weekend. So I think we're okay. And I'm really, really excited about Jacoby Johnson at wide receiver. I hope that that's not false hope, but I really, really am excited about him.
John Whitson of Brown O'Haver and the Boomer Bevo podcast is with us in studio. Greg and Muskogee says, first thing I think of with Auburn is Tommy Tuberville. That tool is a senator now.
He is a tool, but he was excited about Oklahoma coming to Auburn, so that was cool.
Santa John says Pat Sullivan. All right, Parker, I'll ask you this first, and then, John, you can have the rebuttal on this.
What do you got?
So what is Auburn known for in terms of game day tradition? Well, rolling Toomer's Corner, if the trees are still alive, but the War Eagle before the game as well. Where does the flight of the War Eagle rank in terms of best SEC traditions?
Ask me again after I witness it with my own 2 eyes. That is the answer I will give you. Hard to say definitively until I've been a part of it.
What do you think, John?
I think it's pretty cool. Where does it rank? I don't know. It's one of those weird traditions that you wonder how they get linked to certain things. Like Top Dog like how Top Dog ever became a thing for OU when we're the Sooners and there's no dogs tied to anything. But at the same time, when they took Top Dog away, it was like the worst thing that ever happened to Oklahoma basketball. So I imagine, Top Dog and War Eagle are similar.
They're probably
about the same. But no, I think it's really cool. I think it's cool, and Parker's exactly right. I bet when you're there, you're probably thinking, this is probably kind of cheesy, and then it happens. You're like, man, that was probably pretty cool.
I think any tradition with a live animal out there, outside of Bevo just drooling all over itself the entire time and needing 15 minutes to get from one end of the Cotton Bowl to the other, are normally pretty cool. Like I've seen Ralphie at Colorado. That was pretty sweet. We get to see Mike the Tiger outside the stadium this year. So I think the War Eagle, I don't think it's the best SEC tradition, but I think that's going to be pretty cool. I've seen the giant hog tusk outside of an Arkansas football game before. Of course, you've got the Sooner Schooner at OU games. But the live animal mascots rank pretty high in my book.
I like it. I mean, again, it's where it came from is kind of weird, but I'm down with it. Let's go.
How you feeling? We got a couple more minutes with you. How you feeling about this Saturday?
I think Auburn is terrible. They do have a really good running game. I was prepping for the podcast this morning. Compared to us, mostly everybody has a really good running game. But they have a really good running game, averaging over 7 yards a carry. The good thing for us is that's the strength of our defense. We're really, really, really good up front. We're really, really good at linebacker. And so we take that away, force those two quarterbacks to have to pass the ball, and I think it puts us in a really good spot defensively. Offensively, I'm not an offensive coordinator or anything like that.
Not yet.
I'd love to get Michael Hawkins on the edge, give him some option, not necessarily RPO. We've talked a lot about that. That's been everywhere. But giving him looks to maybe pass or run on the edge, let his athleticism be an asset. And I think if we can do that and we can get a little bit just a little bit for the love out of our running backs, maybe, free them up in some space. I thought the short passing game against Tennessee to the running backs was pretty effective. So if we can do those things, I think we're going to take care of business in Auburn. I'm not that concerned about it. I just think Auburn's a little bit of a dumpster fire right now.
John is not an offensive coordinator, but he does wear a run the damn ball hat about half the times that I see him.
It's my game day hat.
That's OC material to me.
It's my game day hat, and I feel like they've noticed the hat, but they've added right up the middle to every run play we run this year. And that doesn't need to necessarily be there. I'll take some off-tackle runs. I'll take getting those guys out in space. Any update on Tatum?
No update on Tatum. I would consider him coin flip this weekend.
Okay.
Also, did Seth Luttrell's game plan and play calling last week manage to officially destigmatize the jet sweep? Because the jet sweep was really the only thing that worked last week.
We got some text this week like, man, we should have ran more jet sweeps. I'm like, what is happening this year?
It's taken 4 games
What's
for
happening?
A complete 180.
Oh, my gosh. I thought we were ruined on that play.
I got to tell you guys, I've seen a lot of – I'm a little bit older than you guys. I'm not steely old, thank God, but I'm a little bit older than you guys. Seen a lot of football at OU. I was in school during John Blake. The offense was every bit as anemic as it was. I mean, the first play of the game. Look at the very first play of the game. Where, it's scripted, they've gone over it, they've experienced it, it's at home with a friendly crowd, and we can barely corral the snap and make a handoff and run a really regular play. I just really hope that the confidence that we saw from Michael Hawkins extends into this week, and if it does, and we just clean up a couple things, I think we could be in really good shape.
Auburn has lost 4 of its last 6 home games. They are 5-6 at home the last 2 seasons, so not great out there on the plains for the Auburn Tigers. One more time, how can people get a hold of you at Brown O'Haver?
Yeah, call us, 405-735-5510. With these most recent storms, if you just need advice, give us a call. If you've got a larger claim, give us a call. We want to be a resource to you. We want to make sure that you know all the options that are available to you. If you need some references on roofs, check in with the ref or check in with us. They've got a lot of good resources. We've got some. Give us a call, 405-735-5510. Parker and Tyler, thank you so much for letting me get on, guys. I appreciate it.
Anytime. And again, go check out the Boomer Bevo podcast. Good stuff there. It'll make you Kevin's such a nice guy. But that's what makes you so angry watching that podcast is he's such a nice guy, and he tries to be nice about but there's just the Texas arrogance can still come across from time to time. So it's a really good podcast, but the way Texas is playing right now, prepare to be angry.
Following the Michigan game was just it was obnoxious. It was absolutely obnoxious.
Man, there you go. There's John Whitson. Give Brown O'Haver a call, and again, that's the Boomer Bevo podcast as well. Final segment of Locked In coming up next.
What's up, Sooner fans? This is all-conference safety Billy Bowman, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
When you're sick, you need to be seen by a health professional today, not next week. Norman Regional Urgent Care is here for you from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Open 7 days a week at Porter Health Village in Norman and Monday through Friday in Westmore. Our Goldsby Clinic is opening soon, so we can care for you wherever you are. No appointment needed, just walk right in. Whether it's a sudden illness or a minor injury, Norman Regional Urgent Care is ready to get you back on your feet today, not next week.
Hey guys, TJ here for my friends over at Joe's Wines and Spirits. Football season is back, and when you need that great selection of your favorite beer, wine, or liquor, do what I do and go see the great staff over at Joe's. They have tons of specials for all your game day and tailgate needs. Joe's is open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and from noon to 5 on Sunday. Right here in Norman at 1330 East Alameda, so really easy to run by right before that game to grab your last-minute needs, or visit Joe's Wines on Facebook for all their monthly specials.
The Sooners are SEC ready, and so is Balfour of Norman. Are you? Shop our selection of tees, polos, and hats that have the SEC logo on them. And even my new book, Put the Ponies in the Barn. Locally owned for more than 45 years, Balfour of Norman on Campus Corner is OU fans' go-to shop for Sooner gear. Not only will you find all the newest t-shirt designs, but also great polos, women's fashion tops, shorts, and even things for the youngest Sooner fan, starting at newborn and going through youth sizes. When it comes to hats, Balfour probably has the largest selection anywhere. They also have everything you need for tailgating and watch parties, from drinkware and serving pieces to barbecue tools and accessories. Make sure you have plenty of OU paper plates and napkins on hand, too. If it says OU, you will probably find it at Balfour. Come see us on the corner for all the newest gear, or shop online at crimsonproud.com, where you will find everything Sooner. This is Toby Rowland. Did you know that more than 80 million people depend on AM radio each month for news, weather, and emergency information? A new bill in Congress would make sure AM radio remains in cars because when cell and internet services go down, this far-reaching free service may be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. This message is brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station. Messaging and data rates may apply.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel on yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you.
Contact South Central CASA at 405-360-5295.
The world is full of anchors, meant to keep you in place. But the good news is that it's also full of things that remind you not to let them. So every time you raise a Pacifico, let it be a reminder to live life anchors up.
Hi, this is Lisa Talley, broker and owner of Aria Real Estate Group. Aria Real Estate Group is Norman's premier full-service commercial and residential real estate brokerage and leasing and management firm. With our team of real estate agents, specialized property managers, and in-house maintenance team, Aria is here for you in every capacity. Whether you're a seller, a buyer, an investor, or a renter, we can help. Please explore our website at ariagroupok.com. Aria Real Estate Group, the gold standard of real estate.
Final segment, locked in with McComas and Thune, live on the Ref for the home of Sooner fans. And if you were affected by the hailstorms last night, call Swiftco Roofing, a local roofing contractor. Swiftco Roofing, they live here. Call Brent Swift today, 405-831-8222. That's Brent Swift at 405-831-2022, or visit swiftco.com for immediate help. All right, OU and Auburn coming up on Saturday. In terms of what's going on in the 2025 class, I mean, we're still waiting on Andrew Babalola. Michigan feels like they're the leader right now. I don't think OU's totally out of this, but what's really to know right now for OU in 2025 outside of Andrew Babalola? Are we still waiting for names to emerge as serious contenders to be a part of this 2025 class?
Yeah, we just got to figure out what direction they're going to turn at linebacker, and the answer is not that clear right now. Caleb Burns, certainly a name to know. Cabrion Winston down at Lancaster, perhaps another. I don't know, Tyler. It's entirely – and I know they're still going to – and this has zero chance of happening, but they're still pushing for Luke Metz, the linebacker out of Georgia, who is committed to Alabama right now. You're not flipping a Georgia kid from Alabama. So I know they would like for that to happen. I don't think it's too terribly realistic. But Babalola and whatever linebacker they decide to take a shot at, that's really what it is at this point.
Deuce Gerald's apparently liked his visit quite a bit. Is Deuce Gerald's going to make another trip to Norman anytime soon? Anything new on the books?
Oklahoma's got a really, really good chance with Deuce Gerald.
And he'd be a really, really good get in 2026.
Yeah, he's like the number 11 player in the nation right now? So, that kid can play.
Yeah, so Deuce Gerald's, I think does Rivals have him as the number 1 defensive tackle for 2026 right now? I think they may have him ranked as the number 1 defensive tackle for 2026. He's certainly among that group, so he's a kid out of the state of Georgia. It won't be easy, but there's been enough to this point for me to believe, and not that I didn't believe it last week, but OU's a serious contender here, man. OU's an absolute contender for Deuce Gerald's.
And if you don't believe it, there's some very juicy intel from my colleague Brandon Drum over at OUinsider.com on just exactly how far along things are right now between Oklahoma and Deuce Gerald's. They have a very good shot there.
Text line can help us out on this one, but since you're going to play a game in Alabama, that's a footprint that's,
Of course, coached there for several years with both Jacksonville State and Troy. Todd Bates played at Alabama. Jay Valai has a past at Alabama. And so you have connections to that state. Oklahoma would like to make a heavier play into the state of Alabama, but you gotta crack it at some point with somebody. And the Sooners have yet to really do that.
Spartan Sooner, could we possibly see Hicks at running back this week with Tatum possibly injured and Sawchuk still struggling?
I would not be operating under the expectation that you see Caleb Hicks.
I think Sam Franklin's way more likely. And we've seen Sam Franklin way more than we've seen. Now that we've seen Sam Franklin
we haven't seen Caleb Hicks at all.
But, yeah, exactly. That's the point. It's like we haven't seen Sam Franklin a ton, but we've certainly seen him more than we've seen Caleb Hicks thus far. Craig in Cleveland says, I also went to school during the John Blake era, and John was right on the money when he compared last Saturday's offense to those teams. I felt like I was praying for a miracle, but ultimately hopeless. God, those were bad, bad days. Let's hope things start to turn around at Auburn. This is a huge, it was Andy Staples who kind of had the point. Like, this could, in a lot of ways, be a very, very big moment in the Brent Venables tenure. That doesn't have to mean bad. It could mean very good. But on the bad side, like, if this quarterback decision doesn't work out, where do you go moving forward? But on the good side is, man, maybe this can give you some real momentum offensively for the first time this year. And that's what you're hoping for, is that he's so good, he's doing things in the run game, downfield passing game, that maybe even the situation around him becomes better because he just kind of injects some life in the offense.
Yeah.
Hopefully. This is a good Auburn defense, though.
A sad basketball fan, Josh, says, this is the second straight offseason Hicks was so good in fall and just nothing in the regular season. I don't think that's true, Josh. Like, I think it's easy to get, especially if you're trying to dig back into your mental archives, if you will, months and months, or in some cases a year or more. It's easy to say, oh, I heard that guy's name during camp. I figured he was going to be really good. I don't think the buzz on Caleb Hicks was ever that strong that you expected him to be a key facet of that rotation. I will say he had a good spring. He did have a good spring, and there was some conversation, okay, can he maybe push to be RB2 perhaps if Javonte Barnes isn't completely recovered physically, but Javonte Barnes is, and we've seen that. And moreover, you were never really keeping Taylor Tatum off the field in year one, and he has proven his value even earlier than many expected. So Caleb Hicks, best case scenario for him this year was RB3, and as of right now, he's RB5. So I don't think it's a case of Caleb Hicks having some sort of dramatic crash back down to earth once the season starts. It's just he's low on the depth chart at running back. That's where he's been. That's where he is.
JD in Tulsa, here's a history lesson. A Civil War soldier found a baby eagle on a battlefield and took it to raise. He later went to Auburn, and the bird was known as the War Eagle. During the first Auburn-Georgia game, the War Eagle took to flights and circled the field as Auburn scored the game-tying touchdown. Everyone pointed at it saying, "War Eagle!" The eagle died after the game, giving its life for Auburn's success, and War Eagle was born. What a happy moment that turned dark rather quickly.
That was very abrupt. How did the eagle die?
War Eagle inside the game! And then, bam, he died.
Just come coast, like floating back down to earth, and then just keel over.
Jeez, I don't know. Do we have more to the story there? JD, I don't know. That was a sad ending right there. Maybe the point after attempt was so bad it hit the War Eagle that was still flying around, right? I think we could relate to some of the kicker performances that we've seen before. Which, by the way, is OU going to have a new kicker on Saturday?
What?
Huh? OU going to have a new kicker on Saturday?
What?
4:05. Looks like Brandon Hall worked at Auburn for the prayer at Jordan-Hare and the kick six. Jay Valai worked at Alabama one season.
I forgot Brandon Hall had been at Auburn in 2013, but you were 100% correct. He was a member of that Auburn staff, I believe as a defensive quality control coach that went to the national championship and ultimately lost to who but Jameis Winston.
Yeah, they had a lead late, and old Jameis Winston got him. Nick in Sepulpa, is Auburn comparable to Tulane, or are they better? Tulane certainly had better quarterback play this year.
I generally don't find myself this confident, but this is just transparently where I am. I am not impressed with Auburn. I don't think they're a very good football team. And I think that's a game that Oklahoma ought to win by 20.
I hope you're right. I've got like a 3-point OU win. I've got like OU 20, Auburn. Here's what I had. I had OU 20, Auburn 13. So I guess I got a touchdown win.
We have two very conflicting reports on the text line as to how the Eagle met its demise.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Whale Sooner said War Eagle was watching the game-winning play unfold and flew into the press box. Rip.
They had a press box all the way back, and what would that have been, like 18? I mean, that would have been pre-1900s, right?
And JD in Tulsa said the Eagle died of old age, lived for close to 40 years.
Oh, okay, that's nice to know. It's nice.
I like that one better.
I do too. I do too. Where does this rank for you on SEC road trips you were excited to take? For me, it's kind of somewhere maybe middle of the pack, maybe up, like Tennessee would be more excited for that.
This is the one that I've been most excited for this year.
Ole Miss for me would be higher. LSU for me would be higher. I don't know, like 6th or so maybe on the list. I'm excited for this trip. Like 6th isn't bad because there's a lot of awesome road trips in this league. So,
of the 4 road trips that Oklahoma is making this year, this is the one I'm most excited for.
I just think I'm going to thrive in Oxford, Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to have a good time in Baton Rouge as well. But
if I see any photos on social media that are circulating of you holding a Confederate flag.
Whoa! Talk about things turning dark in a hurry right there. There will be no Confederate flags.
I'm just saying, be careful
what do you
which
think
Mississippi
of me?
folk you associate
what
with.
What does this guy think of me
You get a few
here?
beers in you to tailgate in
Jeez.
Mississippi.
Unbelievable. That's what my radio partner for 1 hour a day thinks that I'm going to be doing in the Grove before an 11 a.m. or noon kickoff. No, I will not be flying a Confederate flag anywhere. I'll be flying a daggum OU flag or an OU defense flag or something like that around the Grove,
I'm just saying, hey, alcohol makes people do crazy stuff, and there are
not
a lot
that
of Confederate
crazy.
flags in Mississippi. I mean,
not that crazy.
Ron Swanson got his hair braided, Tyler. I'm just saying.
Well, I might get my hair braided, but there's going to be no Confederate flag in the mix.
Okay, good.
Coming up on that Saturday.
I'm encouraged to hear this.
2 at 24/7. One has OU winning, one has OU losing. Your boy Chris Hummer says OU 27, Auburn 20. Sooners by a field goal. And then we have Auburn 23, OU 20. So there's a split on predictions there. Josh Pate has Auburn winning the game.
Ooh.
J.D. Piquel has OU winning the game.
Which is a reversal because J.D. had Auburn over Oklahoma in the preseason.
Yeah, right. That's how bad Auburn's been if he wants to flip that one after we've seen. So, all right. Big one coming up on Saturday. I know a lot of us are flying into Atlanta on Friday. Fingers crossed that we can actually get there on Friday morning. A lot of OU fans praying that they can get into Atlanta on Friday so they can make it down to Auburn on Saturday. That'll do it for Locked In. The Rush is coming up next. Keep it locked on the Ref.
Football. You love it. We love it. You live it. We live it. You need it. We got it. Nobody covers college football better. The Rush.
Right here on the Ref Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to